Miami versus Notre Dame is coming down to the wire. I'm going to simplify this issue and make sense of it all across the board. Plus, the ACC Network with a world-class troll. I'm Doug Kezirian. This is Hard Pass, also available in podcast. There truly is nothing like college football. Sure, there's the wonderful pageantry, passion, and partying. Also, pettiness. No, we're not talking about Lane Kiffin. Instead, the ACC Network with A-plus trolling. On Thursday and Friday, the ACC Network will re-air Miami's win over Notre Dame from earlier in the season. Not once.
Not two, not three, not four, not five, not six, not seven.
How about 8 times, one short of Ferris Bueller?
9 times.
9 times.
Just in case you forgot, there was a head-to-head result. Yeah, 8 re-airs. Awesome stuff. How thoughtful of them to do that for everyone. Honestly, I'm amazed. I truly, truly love this troll job. Hey, all hands on deck. It's time for prison rules. Now, as for why the Irish are currently ranked ahead of the Canes, I'm here to help you understand that. I happen to agree with it, but that's not the point. Rather, I'm going to explain the rationale and simplify things. I'm not asking for you to agree with it, but hopefully you can at least grasp the concept and know why the situation is what it is with the rankings, because so many of you are just fixated on head-to-head between those two teams, such as ESPN's Paul Feinbaum on a recent SportsCenter.
Maybe I'm old enough to believe that head-to-head should matter. Notre Dame versus Miami. Does anyone remember that game? I do.
No one has forgotten that. It's just not the only criteria. That's because not all 10-2 records are identical. Think about the wide range of teams and talent across the 138 FBS teams, with super conferences having unbalanced schedules to the nth degree. It's the single most inefficient sport. Painfully inefficient. So you can't just say 10-2 versus 10-2 is automatically apples to apples. It's never been that easy. Just listen to what College Football Playoff Commissioner Hunter Yurachek said 2 weeks ago when asked about Miami and Notre Dame.
We really compare the losses of those two teams. Miami has lost to 2 unranked teams. Notre Dame has lost to 2 teams that are ranked in our top 13.
College football has always been about the losses. It protects the sanctity of the regular season, which is so precious. Like it or not, Miami has 2 bad losses. The Canes lost to teams with 4 losses each, including one of those games at home. That's what's holding them back, which I personally think is fair. Now, if you can't process that, let's try this exercise just to illustrate a point. What if Miami's losses were Louisville and UMass, the single worst team in all of college football? Hypothetically, of course. Would you still think their 10-2 record is the same as Notre Dame's 10-2 record, with only losses to the top 15? If yes, I don't know what to tell you. Good luck figuring out life. If not, then good. You at least understand the concept that 10-2 records aren't automatically the same. Now, fortunately for the Canes, they did not lose to UMass. They did lose to SMU. So it's Louisville and SMU, each with 4 losses. So the issue is the gap of Miami's 2 losses compared to Notre Dame's 2 losses, total of 4 points against top 13 teams, and whether that gap is wide enough to offset the head-to-head between the 2 schools, which, important to remind everyone, was only 3 points and was at Miami. Okay, pretty close, right? Margin of victory does matter, because there are only 12 regular season games for everyone. To me, the gap is clearly wide enough to offset it, but at least you understand how a committee member can look beyond head-to-head. That's all I ask. Understand the nuance. And if Miami supporters think it's getting too complicated with the metrics and eye test, realize that's what's helping you be ranked ahead of Vandy and Utah. They're each 10-2 from power conferences, and their losses are much better. Utah to the 4th and 11th ranked teams, okay? Vandy at Bama and at Texas, both in the top 13, and both were on the road. Compare that to Miami's 2 losses to 4 lost teams, but the Canes are ahead of them because of the same criteria that's keeping them behind Notre Dame, metrics and even the eye test. But there is still one Hail Mary for Miami. Remember, every week the committee starts from scratch and ranks the top 25 teams. They don't just take the previous week's rankings and then tweak them here and there. So things are going to be fluid. Right now, Miami is 2 spots behind Notre Dame with BYU in between them. Now, the Cougars play this weekend. If they lose and get blown out, then maybe Miami and Notre Dame could be right next to each other for the first time. And that's when head-to-head could come into play. Not saying it will, but Yurachek did say this when presented and pressed on the issue.
Idle teams can move following the results of the championship games and how they impact the teams that are around those that play in the championship game, and data such as strength of schedule, teams that may be idle. So yes, teams that are idle can move up or down.
So we're not set with Miami definitively being behind Notre Dame no matter what. Is that fair to say?
Reese, following the championship games, we will re-rank the top 25 teams, and we'll see where they fall.
I'm going to take that as the Canes still have a chance.
Now, the idle teams could move if an opponent plays a conference championship game and thus has a domino effect on their strength of schedule or something like that. Now, for Miami and Notre Dame, only the Irish have one opponent that plays this weekend. That's Boise State. So I would say it's highly unlikely that Miami passes Notre Dame on that alone. But perhaps being right next to each other does force the committee to revisit the head-to-head conversation. Time now for Fans in the Stands, and this is when I get to respond to some comments in our most recent episode, our audience or our fans in the stands. And please like and subscribe to the show. It really helps us with the analytics, the currency that is so important in this YouTube world. So please like and subscribe. Also comment, join the conversation. Let us know what you like, what you dislike, what you want to see more of, less of. Just any feedback is good feedback. So the most recent comment was on our most recent episode, I should say, regarding Lane Kiffin and all the drama trying to still coach Ole Miss while accepting the job at LSU. Minister Mandan, nobody who isn't tied to Lane's agent thinks he should have been allowed to coach the team after he left for LSU. It's absurd on its face. It's extremely weird to leave for a school for a team in the same conference. It's even rarer to leave for a rival. The idea that any school would let its rival's coach just hang around their building is just madness. And I completely agree. Truly wild stuff. And all the pulling of the strings behind the scenes was what left such an icky feeling, as I touched on the most recent episode. There's a bunch of comments like bots on Twitter where different accounts had the same exact verbiage. That's what was getting kind of creepy. And then a lot of the same talent agency, media talent getting involved. It is what it is. Lane did not get it. And actually the team seemed to be not wanted as well as soon as he mentioned or announced that he's going to LSU. Mark Preston, the end of the Green Bay-Detroit game, this is on first game on Thanksgiving, had me cracking up with the commentators and them going for it on fourth down. Reminded me of your episode about coaches needing to value possession more than the clock. Then they praised LaFleur for thinking he was crazy not to just punt it away. They are probably listening to your episodes, LOL. Yeah, not quite. I wish. And everyone on Twitter wants to give me some lip. It's like, oh, maybe they should hire you. You realize all these teams have people who are sort of math people and not football people helping them with clock management and things like that. So yeah, they're actually people who may not know the best technique of a pulling guard and a right tackle form. But yes, someone like me would be very helpful to these coaches because there's a ton going on. There's a ton on their plate, headsets, noisy, all that stuff. So yeah, I think you need to outsource some of the thought process. And I think Dan Campbell is certainly one of those guys who needs to outsource it. All right, that's going to do it for this edition of Hard Pass. Always appreciate you checking in, and please join the conversation. We want to hear your thoughts.